All right, everybody, welcome to the November 2021 Solidarity Lowell meeting. As it says here, this meeting is being recorded. I'm Chris. I'll be the moderator today. So first, we'll go over the guidelines for our virtual meetings. This meeting is being recorded. By staying in the meeting, you agree to be recorded. Raise a hand, either a physical hand or a virtual hand, or type an asterisk into the chat if you want to speak. The stacker for this meeting, that's Caroline Snow, will pay attention to the order and unmute you in turn. The timekeeper is Lisa Arnold. Please be mindful of time limits. Use stop video if you need to take a break from sharing your camera. Start video when you're ready to return. Step up, step back. If you tend to talk a lot, take a break to give other people a space. If you tend to not say anything, please step up and say if you have something to say. And please speak slowly. Okay, Lisa, I can move the slides. Thank you. Brief overview of the agenda for today, 5:30-ish. That would be now. Attendee intros, which we will do right after this. 45, general introduction to Solidarity Lowell news and committee updates. At 6 o'clock, allied organizations updates. At 6:15, our guest for the evening, Taylor Donaldson from the International Institute of New England. And at 6:55, wrap up and next meeting. All right, this is what we call the social distance hour, quarter hour. Introduce yourself, your name, your pronouns, where you live, and the question of the day is, what was your favorite TV show as a kid? I will call on you as you are here on my screen, and I hope it doesn't jump around too much. If I forget somebody in the end, please speak up. So I'll start this. My name is Chris. I'm using the she, her, hers pronouns. I live in downtown Lowell. And that question is very difficult for me because we didn't have a TV. I lived in Germany at that time. We didn't have a TV when I was a kid. But later my parents got one. So I'm going with my father's favorite TV show after I already didn't live at home anymore. But when I visited, I saw it. And that was Bonanza. And the next person here on my list is Lisa.
Okay. I'm Lisa Arnold. She, her, hers pronouns. I live in downtown Lowell, and I don't know about favorite because, you know, it changes all the time. But the one that I have the funniest memory about is Bugs Bunny, because I was watching the TV show and forgot to hang up the phone. So my mom had to send my neighbor over to knock on the door to tell me to hang up the phone because I was distracted by bugs.
Great. Amy?
Hi, Amy Baranowski, she, her, hers. I live in District 4, I think we'll just call it, on the edge of the acre, edge of the downtown. I've been thinking about this all week. And I was a huge fan of both the A-Team and Knight Rider, so definitely one of those. And shall we pass to Ryan?
All right.
Yes.
My name is Ryan Hammond. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I live with Amy, which is a place, again, formerly called the Acre, but has now been rezoned to downtown. Bugs Bunny and Tweety show would rank very highly for me as well. But I think since I want to vary myself away from Lisa, I will instead say the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. I didn't yet know how cheaply it was drawn. General Mills would only give enough money to get the cheapest animation studio possible. So you see copious continuity errors and characters who are either missing limbs or have too many limbs. But I still love the puns such as, it was a very cold war indeed. Bullwinkle, this heater hasn't worked for 5 years.
Okay,
Oh, pass-
Okay, yes, I'm
thank you,
muted.
Ryan.
pass the microphone.
Okay, Win, you're next on my list.
Win Flint, I'm she, hers. I live in District 2, Christian Hill, Centerville. And oh, I'm just thinking this is gonna like really date me. But my favorite show was Flipper. Oh, I thought it was so cool to live right on the water and jump in your little speedboat and do your thing, you know.
Okay, thank you. And now the names are jumping around, so I'm sure to leave somebody out, but I'll try my best. Jay Mason is next one I have here.
I'm on the,
Jay,
yes, am I unmuted?
you are.
Yes, okay, great. My name is Jay Mason. My pronouns are he, him. I live in Pawtucketville on the, by the Pawtucket Falls. Lovely, lovely spot. And my favorite TV show was Sea Hunt. I loved Lloyd Bridges and his antics out in the ocean. Awesome.
All right, thank you. Caroline,
Hi, everybody. Caroline Snow, she, her, hers pronouns. And I live in, I guess it's District 2, maybe 4. I don't remember. And as a kid, this will definitely date me. My favorite TV show was Barney and Friends.
all right.
Dee Halzak, she, her. I live in the Acre in District 7. And my favorite TV show is Ancient History. There was a Disney program that had different things all the time. I get it all the time.
Okay, thank you. Glenn,
Hello, my name is Glenn. Pronouns are he, him, his. I moved to downtown Lowell recently. There was one show called Jackie Chan Adventures in the early 2000s where Jackie Chan goes around and beats up a bunch of criminals for magical talismans with superpowers that make you fly and breathe fire and all sorts of cool things. And that was my favorite for a long time.
thank you. Jack, Flynn, Jack, are you back? If you are, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No
It's
problem.
Jack Flynn. My pronouns are he, him. I live in downtown Lowell. And my favorite show was also Bonanza.
All right. John Grossman, I think, is next.
John Grossman, he, him. I live in Pawtucketville. I was going to go with Rocky and Bullwinkle, but in the interest of coming up with something new, I'll go with Get Smart.
All right. Thank you. Joe, Joe, you're muted. We can't hear you, Joe. Now you're there.
Hi, everyone. I am Joe Boyle. I live in the Highlands, District 8. As a kid, my favorite show was it was called Star Blazers. It was an English dub of a Japanese animated space sci-fi adventure series.
All right. Thank you. Kale,
Hi, everybody. Kale Connerty, she, hers. I live downtown. I think Kim Possible has to be my favorite.
okay. No, this has jumped around so much, I have no idea where I'm at. Marissa, you weren't up yet, were you?
I have not gone.
Good.
Marissa Hunt, my pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in Pawtucketville, District 1. We're number 1. And my favorite show as a kid was Alvin and the Chipmunks, the 80s reboot, not the original, because I'm not quite that old.
Thank you. Paul,
Hi, everyone. Paul Godet from the Highlands, Tyler Park area. My pronouns are he, him. my favorite show was Zorro, which taught me my first Spanish words like hacienda.
Excellent. Rick?
Hi, Rick Golden. I live on Christian Hill in Centerville. I am he, him. I'm going to say the Ed Sullivan Show because it had rock and roll music on it, but they made you watch all this other weird variety stuff and put the Beatles and the Stones and everybody at the end of the show, but it was worth it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ron?
There you go.
Ron,
Is
are
it
you
working?
there?
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. So as Dee would put it, my favorite show is also Ancient History, but there were two of them. When I was a kid, we didn't have a TV, but I would go over to a friend's house every time Star Trek and every time there were NASA launches. So it's a tie. It's both of those.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
Okay, found the mute button. Yeah, so my name's Scott Richards. Pronouns are he, him, his. I have been in Solidarity Lowell for a long time, but I lived in Billerica. Now I'm actually a Lowell resident as of like a few weeks ago. I live in the downtown area, specifically in the Mill No. 5 complex. Favorite TV show really kind of depended on how old I was. But I was actually going to use Star Blazers, but Joe already took that one. So I'm gonna say Lost in Space.
Right. Steve?
Steve Malagodi, he, him, live in downtown Lowell. I never was a kid, but back in that era, I watched The Twilight Zone and then I never left.
Thank you. Susie? I don't know if you can talk while you're driving.
I have my co-pilot. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Susie Chen, pronoun she, her, and I live in South Lowell. Favorite TV show? Well, I have quite a few, but mostly it's the Brady Bunch. Just family value, and that's one of the reasons why I chose the Brady Bunch. Thank you. Can you guys
Okay,
press
thank you.
see the mute button?
And we have two special guests. One of them is our newly city councilor-elect for downtown, who I'm very happy to see here, Wayne.
Hi there, Wayne Janess, he, him, his. And as Chris mentioned, I live downtown, right on Market Street in the same building as Stephen, actually. And favorite TV show as a kid, probably have to go with the Transformers cartoon.
Okay, and lastly, I think the only one I haven't called in is Taylor. If you want to briefly introduce yourself, we'll go into more detail later, but just the same questions we just all did.
Sounds great. My name's Taylor Donaldson, she, her, hers pronouns. I live in Medford, Massachusetts, near Boston. And as a child, I think Blue's Clues was my favorite show.
Thank you. Did I forget anybody? No? Oh, good. In that case, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, and for those of you that do, just a recap. What is Solidarity Lowell? Solidarity Lowell is a volunteer-based group of community members of Greater Lowell working towards social justice by defending the human rights, dignity, and equality of all persons against hate and discrimination. We welcome new members. The Solidarity Lowell Coordinating Committee is your elected team of volunteers running the meetings, organizing events, disseminating relevant news, and sharing calls to actions. And that committee also welcomes new members. Anybody interested, you can speak up now or later, or contact me or any of the other members here. Okay, Lisa. Okay, Solidarity Lowell is a member of Progressive Massachusetts, a chapter of Progressive Massachusetts, which is a statewide member-driven grassroots organization committed to fighting for a vision of shared prosperity, racial and social justice, good government, and environmental sustainability in Massachusetts. Progressive Mass has a number of committees such as issues, elections and endorsements, chapters, membership, digital engagement, technology, development committee. If anybody is interested in joining or contributing to any of those chapters, again, contact me or any one of us after the meeting and we will put you in touch. Now off to one of my favorite parts of every meeting, celebrating our victories. And there have been quite a few over the last month. The Anchor Dance Troupe and the Free Soil Arts Collective will receive grants from the Community Foundation via its BIPOC Arts Equity Fund as part of the statewide Powering Cultural Futures initiative. Stacy Thompson became the first woman of color elected to a municipal seat in Lowell, elected to school committee as District 1 representative. UMass Lowell received $1.5 million grant to create a center that supports the university's Asian American and Pacific Islander students. Tu Nguyen became the first Southeast Asian American and non-binary city council member in Worcester, Massachusetts. Michelle Wu became the first woman of color elected as mayor of Boston, first Asian American mayor of Boston. And the first Muslims were elected to Boston and Worcester city councils. Who else has any victories they would like to share? I just saw a hand, it just disappeared.
It's Glenn.
Glenn?
Hi. So over at UMass Lowell, the Graduate Employee Organization has been organizing for months, running protests, getting petitions, meeting with administration, and they finally got a new contract with some of what they wanted, which included dental coverage, because they were really not being paid well at all. But they got raises, and that's really good.
All right, great, thank you. Anybody else with any victories? And that doesn't have to be last month. Any recent victories they would like to talk about? John?
I don't know if this got brought up previously, but City Council re-upped their contract for additional 45% renewable energy for electricity ratepayers in Lowell.
All right. That's excellent to hear. Okay, anybody else? I'm not seeing any hands. In which case we could move on to the next topic. Oh yes, Solidarity Lowell has an election subcommittee, and even though we just went through an election, there's always work to be done. The next election is always just over the horizon. One of the things we're working on right now is to develop scorecards for city council and mayors in Lowell, based on the motions they put into the city councils and the votes they take in the city council. We definitely need help with that, going through council meetings and taking notes about that. So if anybody's interested in that, please let us know, either lisa@solidaritylowell.com or d@solidaritylowell.com. Lisa or Dee, do you have anything else that you would like to add to the election subcommittee?
Yeah, I definitely we want help with creating that scorecard going forward, but also there's already talk about people running for the progressives who are running for state rep positions next year. And if you would like to help out with any of that, we definitely are. We've got candidates who are looking for volunteers. If you would like to try your hand at being a campaign manager, people have been asking us about that. So let us know and we can put you in touch with candidates who we want to see at the State House.
Thank you. D, anything else?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Now, one of our allied organizations, the Merrimack Valley Interfaith Sanctuary Network, and that's mostly Marissa who is involved in that. So would you like to take that, Marissa?
Sure. So hi, I'm Marissa. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Solidarity Lowell for the Merrimack Valley Interfaith Sanctuary Network. So right now, there are a couple things that we're working on. One of them, Taylor's going to discuss because that's through IINE, Afghan families moving to Lowell area. The other big one is support for our asylum seeker, Marius from Togo. He has found a job. He's working at Comcast, so that's fantastic. He finally got his visa. So that's great. And, you know, he's very happy to, you know, have some independence and not be 100% reliant on us. But, you know, it's going to take him a little while to get completely, you know, settled and comfortable and everything. He has his apartment, but, you know, he still needs a lot of help. So we've agreed to help him with some financial assistance through January. Specifically, we will be, Solidarity Lowell will be responsible for collecting money for January itself. So we need all the help we can get. Anything that you can contribute would be fantastic. And you can donate via Cash App or Venmo. My usernames are on the screen right now. If you want to donate via check, send me a private message or email me, marissa@solidaritylowell.com, and I can give you the address. But yeah, we really appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, any other allied groups that would like to provide updates and announcements, like John from 350, anything new, anybody else?
One thing from 350 Mass, the climate justice group, the city's agreement to purchase significant amount of Class 1 renewable energy credits does come at a cost. And we've committed to trying to make it easier for Lowell residents, especially lower income Lowell residents, to get to make their homes more energy efficient and reduce their energy bills. And the city is applying for a grant to get someone to help the energy manager with a program. There's going to be a push to try to help folks make their homes energy efficient. There are programs now that are underused. They're not easy for tenants to use, and part of this will be to figure out ways and solutions to making sure that landlords cooperate. So if folks have ideas on that, we'd love to hear them.
Thank you. Any other group updates or announcements from any outside groups that you would like to bring in here? Anybody?
I'll jump in if that's okay. Just wanted to thank Solidarity Lowell for their ad placement in the MICA Awards event that was held November 6th on Zoom. Marissa was one of the MICA honorees this year for her fine work with the Interfaith Sanctuary Network. Our goal was $30,000 to raise. We exceeded that by over $1,000, and there's still money's trickling in, and very successful event. This was our 9th annual fundraiser of that size, and we'll do it again next November. Thank you, Solidarity Lowell, for your support.
Thank you, Paul. That's wonderful news to hear. Okay, who else would like to bring any announcement or updates of other groups they're working with? Jay? Jay, I see your hand, but you're muted and off camera. All right. Joe?
Hi, everyone. I have some less good news from the Cambodian democracy movement. A Cambodian democracy activist was hacked to death with knives and swords in front of a crowd a couple of days ago in Cambodia, and it appears to be a politically motivated killing. It may symbolize a dramatic new increase in the amount of violence being promoted being used by the government against the opposition. Stay tuned. We may be asked to be there for the CNRP movement. I don't know if what's going to happen, but if I hear anything, I'll let you all hear.
Oh, well, thank you for letting us know. Ron?
This isn't cleanly fit into any of these things. This is a call, a request in response to the events in the courtrooms in this country where we've got some pretty bad jurisprudence taking place. I've been trying to figure out a way that we could have some sort of a positive reaction and a way to channel all the very justifiable unhappiness that people have. And so after talking to some friends, I came up with the idea that we should participate in the first annual Memorial Andrew Huber voter registration drive, whose goal is to increase the number of people who are registered to vote in this country by 1% and the number of people who are registered to vote by 5% in Wisconsin. And that every time there's a bad court case like this, we should do the same thing, increase the amount of people who are registered to vote by 1% in the country and by 5% in the state where the bad result happened. And that's better than having our cities burn.
Yes, it is. Jay, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I lost my connection.
That's okay.
The Lowell Sustainability Council is looking for membership, increase our activity and effectiveness. We meet on Thursdays, generally the fourth Thursday of the month, at City Hall at 6:30, as well as virtually. And our next meeting is December 2nd because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And I just wanted to add that we're working on establishing a vision for the city for sustainability and mitigation of climate change.
Okay, thank you. Joe, is your hand still up from before, or did you want to add something else? I guess the hand went down. Paul?
Sorry to jump on again, but there was one piece I forgot, and Lisa helped remind me of it, that the Wheels of Hope program, if you recall, is free transportation from anyone in the Merrimack Valley to substance use disorder treatment centers, was ran out of money, but starting tomorrow, it will be reopened through the end of the year through private donations and generous contributions. So the campaign of getting rides to treatment will resume at least through the end of 2021. And the effort is ongoing to get the state budget to put more of its considerable resources into helping the transportation piece that often is where people fall through the cracks.
Thank you. All right, did we have anybody else who would like to contribute? Glenn?
Hello. So I've been lobbying Congresswoman Trahan on foreign policy issues for a bit. And I was working with Massachusetts Peace Action and Massachusetts Korea Peace Movement. There was a bill that was introduced in Congress, or at least was in the gears of it, to formally end the Korean War, which is still technically going on, and just help sort of thaw the bad relations we have with North Korea and just try and stabilize the region and work towards denuclearization. And we had a meeting with Trahan's legislative director, Ellie, and they finally got back to us and said the congresswoman will not be co-sponsoring that bill. The committee, which he talked with the Foreign Affairs Committee to get their thoughts. That committee had a variety of concerns, chiefly that it would limit the flexibility of the Biden administration's foreign policy. I disagree, but it's good that we got an answer, and maybe some of you will hear from me in the future about maybe either a petition or just maybe send a few letters or something about saying hey, maybe we should not have a terrible relationship with the Korean Peninsula, and maybe we should work towards denuclearization and stuff like that. So I just thought that might be of interest to some people.
Thank you, Glenn. It sounds like it might very well be of interest, and please keep us informed as to what's going on and if any action is needed. I'm sure Dee can put that into the newsletter, or we can disseminate that elsewhere. So stay in touch on that one. Okay. Is there anybody else whose hand I'm not seeing? In which case, jump in, please. Okay. Doesn't look like anybody else. In which case, we will come to the main event of support services, starting with the initial resettlement program that lasts for 90 days. Support services are focused on helping refugees and immigrants successfully transition into their new lives in the United States and include job placement services, cultural adjustment programming, English language instruction, extended case management support, asset development program for families ready to take steps towards purchasing a vehicle or home, and citizenship application services. So that's quite a bit. That's by way of introduction. And Lisa, if you can stop sharing your screen so Taylor can share hers. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And I am hoping you can all see my screen. Shout it out if you cannot. But thank you all so much for having me this evening. I'm delighted to speak more about our work and answer questions afterward. I will say as a caveat that this is a quite dense slide deck, so bear with me, but I will send this to Amy afterward to be distributed, so you can take a gander afterwards. As Chris mentioned, I am the intern and volunteer program manager at the International Institute of New England. We have 3 sites, Boston and Lowell, Massachusetts, and Manchester, New Hampshire. And the mission of the International Institute of New England is to create opportunities for refugees and immigrants to succeed through our resettlement services, education courses, career advancement, and pathways to citizenship. There's much more information on our website, but I do want to dive into our theory of change. Not only do we help resettle folks from initially arriving off the plane at the airport in Boston, Logan, or Manchester airports, but we work to stabilize them, get them integrated into our programs, established in the communities, help secure housing and fully furnish apartments ahead of arrivals, and then further along the road, help them integrate into the communities within which they live through civic engagement and pathways to citizenship to sort of round that out into fully thriving, self-sufficient community leaders no matter where they live in our communities. As of October 2021, excuse me, we served just under 2,000 clients, 1,950 unique clients within our 4 service areas. So community services, sort of resettlement and placement, career services, education services, and pathways to citizenship. You can see additional details here that I won't dive into much, but our Pathways to Citizenship, our legal assistance team, has the greatest number of current enrollments or enrollments as of October of this year at 1,029 unique clients. A lot of those are, unsurprisingly, Afghan placement and assistant program clients, helping folks obtain documentation, process forms, and help folks that are still in Afghanistan trying to escape and flee to be evacuated to the United States or another similar country. We also work with trafficking victims, mainly around the Boston area, and unaccompanied children programs. We do a lot of family reunification, mainly for Central American migrant youth. Diving headfirst into the most glaring need of support, the all hands on deck that we are currently seeing across our sites. And if you've seen the news recently, one of the biggest sort of evacuees in our recent history. In all, thousands of Afghans were evacuated from Kabul. And as of September 14th, just over 53,000 were in the United States, living and spread out among various military bases across the country. The US is preparing to welcome up to 95,000 people over the next year. But of the folks who have already arrived, that 53,500 number, about 40% are currently assigned to resettlement agencies like IINE and our colleagues and community partners. That means many folks are still awaiting assignment to a resettlement agency. They're still waiting on military bases, and folks have been on military bases for 2 weeks to 2 months. So we're getting a wide variety of clients arriving. And a lot of folks who are in need of much support and have gone through a variety of traumatic events. And I'll speak a bit more about all of this context as we go. On the bases, however, on the military bases, all Afghan evacuees are receiving temporary shelter, food support, medical screening and basic care, including routine vaccinations, as well as COVID-19 vaccinations. So we've been told everyone who is arriving will have had at least one COVID vaccination dose, if not both. And I'm not quite sure whether that applies to the newly expanded group of children who are now eligible. But that is what we are being told from the military bases. Additionally, on the military bases themselves, for folks who are still awaiting the processing of their employment authorization, we will then take that over as part of our case management and legal services. And finally, and the sort of last step in folks moving off of the military bases is a referral to a resettlement agency like ourselves. Since 2014, IINE has resettled around 350 Afghans, most of whom live in Lowell. Lowell has the largest community of Afghan refugees in the entire New England. So we also expect many, many folks will be headed through our Lowell site for resettlement. Of the previously resettled Afghans, most were refugees or special immigrant visa holders, SIVs, and I'll go into all the legal classifications in the next slide here, but those are folks who have worked with the US government, US military, or other agencies like USAID and the like. As of October 4th, we have agreed, and this is likely to rise as this number has before, we are preparing to welcome 425 Afghan evacuees through our 3 sites, 2 in Massachusetts and 1 in New Hampshire. Most of those arrivals will be categorized as Afghan humanitarian parolees. And you can see through the variety of legal statuses we assist, they have a different status and no clear pathway to citizenship, unlike other clients. So refugees are folks who have fled their home country for a well-founded fear of persecution for a variety of reasons. Special immigrant visa holders, which I spoke to just a moment ago, have worked for the US government or government contractors. And you can see there's a special subcategory of folks whose SIV status is still pending. But most importantly for our conversation here this evening is the humanitarian parolee visa status. We are expecting most Afghan evacuees will arrive under a humanitarian parole visa. That means that they are admitted to the US on a temporary basis, usually about a 2-year visa, during which time they need to work with an attorney to apply to shift their visa status for a change of status, to apply for asylum, or the like. We assume most people will apply for asylum and then be switched under an asylum or refugee status. As of the federal legislation that took place or was passed, excuse me, on October 1st, humanitarian parolees are eligible for the same public benefits as refugees. So food stamps, services, cash assistance, public cash assistance, though we help with means and services far beyond that limited amount. So I got ahead of myself here, but the federal legislation was a win for Afghan evacuees, really helped expand the access they would have to public benefits. Additionally, we have been told, and it has been promised, that folks seeking asylum will have an expedited process. So that is huge, and the sort of backlog of cases is well beyond the 2-year mark in which folks would drop off their visa status as a humanitarian parolee. And last but not least, we, along with our colleagues doing similar work or the same work, are advocating for state funds to provide direct cash assistance for housing, immigration and legal services, arriving in the Commonwealth, as well as within the state of New Hampshire. So things are looking quite promising in the Commonwealth. However, we are working to allocate our private and public funds in order to support all of our clients, no matter where they are resettled. The first 90 days is a crucial period, and that is the reception and placement period, during which time we must find and secure an apartment, furnish it, provide folks with anything and everything they might need, and get folks enrolled in public programs, as well as our programs that we provide various services and goods and means. I keep repeating programs, excuse me here. And in all of those, that 90-day period is open for refugees, SIVs, and humanitarian parolees. For Afghan evacuees, the federal payment, the federal kind of hand cash assistance is a total of $1,225 per person And the agency, like IINE, receives just over $1,000 to assist with case management, interpretation, and translation, and just building out our programming to meet the capacity for the incoming evacuees. As you can imagine, this small amount does not nearly cover the rent, the living, the various needs and kind of cost of everything living in the Northeast. So we have done our best to offset that with private donations and in-kind contributions to make up that difference. So as I mentioned, we fully furnish apartments before folks arrive, including all of the housewares that go into an apartment, so that when a family opens the door of their home, they have everything put away in the kitchen, full weeks of groceries, beds made, all that jazz. So they are not having to go purchase that themselves or through any cash assistance. We provide that for our clients. We, as I kind of mentioned some of these, we will provide temporary and permanent housing for folks arriving, case management services in Dari and Pashto, food, clothing, basic needs, and enrollment in a variety of programming and public benefits, enrolling children in school. Adults will be enrolled in our English for speakers of other language courses and cultural and work readiness. And as a sort of tie-in to how volunteers can support, folks can choose to engage in welcome teams and engage directly with volunteer teams that are there to assist even further. Special immigrant visa holders, and this ties into our legal services that we provide. Special immigrant visa holders receive a green card upon arrival, and refugees can obtain a green card after 1 year living in the United States. Both of those statuses are eligible for citizenship in the United States. However, these humanitarian parolees have no current pathway to citizenship unless they change their status and obtain asylum within the United States. So this is truly temporary, and we are, and our legal team is working as quickly and as diligently as we can to expedite and get folks changed status within the United States so that they can have a pathways to citizenship, so that we can see Afghan evacuees as future citizens in the United States. In addition to that, our in-house immigration and legal services team helps process green card citizenship applications, helps and assists with the family reunifications, and much, much more far and wide beyond just those. We are utilizing volunteers in a variety of means, including forming teams with a designated leader to assist with anything from airport pickups to sorting home goods in our offices as they are ready to go out into apartments, setting up the apartment itself, providing group meal support for folks who are staying in a hotel for a short time, ESOL tutoring as folks get enrolled in our programming, and far, far more opportunities beyond that, as you can see on the screen here, and as I'm happy to discuss with you if you have any questions. Additionally, there are many other ways to get involved in our work. You can donate securely via our website. Cash and gift cards are the most needed and easiest item to distribute directly to clients. And they ultimately allow folks to shop for themselves rather than us having to supply all donated items. Folks can pick out items themselves. You can check out our volunteer opportunities and feel free to email my team and I at volunteers@iine.org if you'd like to get the process started. We do have many folks assisting with gift cards or in-kind donation drives, and our needs differ slightly based on site, but feel free to email us again if you have any questions on how to and where to drop off items and what sorts of items we're looking at currently. And last but not least, if you would like to stay up to date, if you'd like to stay informed on our work, well beyond Afghan evacuee support, feel free to subscribe to our newsletter. Of course, this presentation is centered around Afghan support, but that is not the only community that we support. We're currently seeing an influx of Haitian evacuees, as well as refugee clients from around the world. But with that, I hope to leave plenty of time for questions, comments, anything that you all would like me to dive into further.
Well, thank you very much, Taylor. That was very informative. And I'm sure people have many questions now or later. Like you mentioned before, you'll send a link to Amy so we can distribute a link to this presentation for people. Also, of course, since this is recorded and we're uploading our meetings to YouTube, so members who have not been able to attend can view it there. So I hope many people see it. But while we're here, questions for Taylor. Caroline?
Taylor, I have a quick question. So my congregation is has created a team and is volunteering and is in action. But my question was, do you need at the INE a car seat for pickups? Because that was something we were considering. We have an extra chunk of money for various reasons related to COVID. And we were trying to find an item that was somewhat generic, and I thought of car seats. So I didn't know if that was something you needed, but I thought I'd ask now and save an email.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, as I'm sure you can imagine, my email is sort of overflowing at the moment. In short, yes, we will take car seats, absolutely. For airport pickups, those are especially crucial. And I will say that between November 11th and continuing on through Wednesday of this week, we are receiving a group of about 188 people. So a massive wave of people are coming in ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. We are all hands on deck and scrambling to secure apartments, furnish apartments, and will gladly take your car seat.
Okay, great.
Great, that was one. Ron?
Sorry for the delay here. I'm trying to make sure I'm unmuted. I work with people who are specially trained and licensed to work with INS. Could you use some help getting ITINs and green cards and stuff?
That's a great question. I'd have to chat with my colleagues about any additional assistance needed in sort of the legal side of things, but will you shoot me an email at volunteers and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Steve?
Yeah, thank you. So I've submitted all my volunteer documents and done the orientation and so forth, but I haven't heard from anybody. So I imagine you're just swamped with volunteers, or should I just like hang on and wait for somebody to contact me, or what?
Yes, please. We ask for patience, and a little more patience right now. We are dealing with over 500 folks who have expressed interest in assisting us, and we are processing paperwork as quickly as we can, but we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
John?
Yeah, my question is, how has the public response in the communities that folks have moved into been? Specifically, if you know about the response here in Lowell.
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. We found, and as is the case with most of our clients, that the community really wants to be there and wants to provide that holistic wraparound support really wants to assist folks in any way that they can. And I think the sort of outpouring of support that we have received from not only volunteers and faith groups and the like, but from corporations who want to hire folks, teachers who are trying to best integrate students with little to no English into their classrooms, and this kind of cross-cultural dialogue and understanding has been nothing like we've ever expected and nothing like we've ever seen in the past. It is truly overwhelming, and we are incredibly, incredibly grateful. And I think a place like Lowell is really uniquely situated to welcome a large number of Afghan evacuees, because you already have a lovely Afghan community there to welcome folks with open arms. But we are working across many different demographics to provide further support. And yeah, we found it's very positive so far.
Great. That's very good to hear. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for Taylor? Lisa?
Yeah, one of the things that kind of concerned me as I was looking at your slides and listening is the bit about finding housing and needing first and last month's rent. What are I mean, we have trouble finding housing already. There's already a shortage. So what are some of the struggles that you're seeing, and how's your team dealing with that?
Yes, that's a yes. We are struggling, as is everyone, to find housing and affordable housing at that, right? So we want to make sure that folks who will get a job at some point will be able to pay their rent. We found that Afghan families are quite large. We are welcoming, I think, the largest family we've ever resettled, a family of 13 people. So many children who are not old enough to work, folks who may be, receiving other sorts of benefits and won't be working. So we want to make sure to find appropriate housing and affordable housing at that. We've had success in creating bonds and ties with landlords directly who are willing to give us discounted rates and forego sort of the first last security because we already have relationships with them. That being said, they only have a certain number of properties at this moment. So we are working to create new ties, and that has been one of the hardest obstacles, the hardest hurdles to overcome working with landlords is we can't promise, folks are going to be able to pay their own rent in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. We are providing as much support as we possibly can, but hope that the goodwill goes the other way as well. So it is extremely hard, and I can only echo what you've said and say, yes, we're struggling.
Taylor, I had a question about the employment card.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How long does the employment card last, and what sort of jobs does it entitle the person to apply for?
That is a great question. I'm not sure how long the employment card lasts. I would assume for at least a year, though someone may correct me if I am totally mistaken here. Employment cards are just legal authorization to work within the United States, so folks can obtain a job in whatever industry they are qualified for. We have found, and as many refugees would say, many immigrants would say as well, the certifications and accreditations in one's home country don't necessarily transfer in the United States. And that is very difficult to both communicate to our clients and help overcome in finding and securing jobs and career advancement, sort of planning out a trajectory of one's career. Our theory is find a job because you need to pay rent and you need to pay your basic needs for your family. And then let's work on the next step. Let's plan out for your career, and let's kind of rework where your skills lie, how we can assist, and how we can help get you in the appropriate industry. So we provide many different skills training certifications, healthcare related certifications, construction. We had a hospitality certification that has been put on pause because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but that we hope to reestablish here soon. So that is one such way in which we help folks transition their skills and accreditations in their home country to we are working with those corporate partners and community partners to help find and secure and help prepare folks for entering the workforce in the United States.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? We still have some time, right, Lisa? Okay. Paul.
I was very surprised to hear that there's already an Afghan community in Lowell. And I was wondering if you could help explain why in some ways they're not more visible. Is there not a mutual assistance group already here in Lowell? Are there any Afghan restaurants or cultural, anything going on that celebrates their culture in Lowell?
Yeah, I am not sure quite how the kind of history of how the community came about, but I would assume folks were resettled and then more family ties and even more family and community ties and so on and so forth. I believe there are Afghan restaurants. I haven't spent a ton of time in Lowell, admittedly, because I live around Boston. But from what I know from my colleagues in Lowell, there are many Afghan restaurants, many markets in which to support current refugee or former refugees in the Lowell area. So I hope that helps. That didn't really answer your question, but I hope that helps.
Thank you. Win. I have a question in the chat. Would you like to say that question?
This is not important. My question was, we were really curious where the hell these Afghan restaurants were. I think I had the same thought as Paul was. Sorry.
Let me ask my colleagues, and I will do my best to let Amy know.
Don't worry about it. We're just fooling around.
No, I think it would be very interesting to know, because I've been thinking about, we have so many different kinds of restaurants in Lowell that I can't recall an Afghan restaurant anywhere, but I might have missed it. Does anybody else know about that? Steve?
When I was on the orientation thing the other day, I believe in either the chat or something that somebody was saying that there is a market in Manchester, like a grocery market in Manchester, and some restaurants there. I haven't heard of anything in Lowell.
Okay. I guess then it's time to start one.
So I guess Jimmy's Halal Fried Chicken on Bridge Street in the downtown has some Afghani dishes. I don't know what they are. I don't know if you classify that as an Afghan restaurant or not, but apparently they have some things.
Where was that, Wayne?
Jimmy's Halal Fried Chicken, which is on Bridge Street, right near the Kerouac Park.
Okay,
I had one more question.
go ahead.
In terms of religious services, where would the Afghans go to worship?
Yeah, we expect most arrivals are Muslim, so they will go to local mosques, and we are connecting faith groups in and around Lowell, in and around Massachusetts, who are providing a great deal of support, especially culturally appropriate clothing and headscarves and the like for our clients. So they have been very welcoming and immediately providing support even beyond clothing for food and groceries and things that, anything and everything that a family needs as one's community would. Yeah, so they're welcome, and sort of wrapping people in support already. So we're very grateful. But ideally, we're assuming most folks will be practicing Muslims, so we'll likely go to mosques or interact with the Muslim communities in Lowell in some shape or form.
Okay, Lisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because, we are all a little bit confused about where these Afghan organizations already are. If you could ask the people who are working with the organizations and the people in Lowell that you're already connecting with, if you could ask them to reach out to Solidarity Lowell, to I guess Amy or anybody on our coordinating committee, and then we can put them in touch with some of the other organizations that also do this kind of work, so that we can start to form a relationship that might help. So
fabulous. I
that'd be
absolutely
great.
will.
Ron, your hand was up, but then it went down again.
No, it's still up. If any of the Afghan refugees that are coming in are members of the Baha'i faith, I can probably help hook them up with appropriate people.
Fabulous, fabulous. Just, I guess, a bit of context. When we get a case and we find out even of arriving families, we often, unlike many other clients that we serve, the Afghan arrivals are so quickly expedited and so quickly sent off of army bases in order to be resettled. We get numbers of a family, so perhaps a family of 5, and we may know that there's 3 children. Sometimes we don't even get their ages. So that makes a lot of things very tricky, especially, even just arriving at an airport. Do you need a car seat or do you not? What kind of car seat? Are there babies? We've seen a lot of very young children and heavily pregnant women, 3rd trimester pregnancies, because they want them off the army bases to get support in communities rather than staying longer on an army base. So we never receive the faith practices or religious denomination or background of any clients. That is something that we sort of interact with on a case management level and do our best to put them in contact, but I will absolutely let folks know that you all are wonderful resources for connecting folks and can help kind of troubleshoot in that way. So there's only so much I know, obviously, by this conversation.
Thank you. Okay. Unless there's another question that someone has, shall we wrap up this part of today? I'm sure if people have questions that come up after this meeting, of course you can email Taylor, or you can email any one of us and we'll pass it on to her, message, text, whichever way you feel comfortable, and we'll get the questions to Taylor or anybody else at IANE who can answer them. Okay.
Absolutely. I am popping our volunteer email in the chat one more time. Of course, you'll see it in the presentation when that goes out to you. But thank you so much for having me. I hope to circle back on some of those questions because I am interested myself. But please be in touch. And again, thank you for all of your support and your hard work in the community.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. This was very helpful and informative.
Of course. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Okay, good night. Okay, Lisa, if you would, and the reason why I'm not bringing up the slides, but Lisa is doing it because my computer is antique and it does weird things when I share screens. So, however, I hope this part will work. Now we're coming to our next meeting. It would be on December 19th. In years past, we've had holiday parties in December rather than a meeting. We didn't have one last year for obvious reasons. We're thinking that we might be able to have one again this year, or we could have a regular meeting, or we could take a break. And I have, and let's hope this works now. I've set up a poll that we can take right now of the people that are present here, where they can vote for which of these three options they would like to see. I'm going to hit launch, and with any luck, this will work. Anybody seeing a poll pop up? Excellent.
Where
Okay.
would, Chris, where would the party be?
At Amy's, most likely. Amy
Oh, okay.
building has a big, what's it called, Amy?
Oh, no, sorry, I was distracted because I'm trying to take the poll and I can't, I think, because you made me a co-host.
Oh, is
But
that so?
yeah, we have a function hall downstairs at Renaissance on the River. And we've last time we had a Christmas party, that's 2 years ago, that's where it was.
Right.
So it's over by the Spinners Stadium. Right off of Aiken by UMass.
So feel free to indicate this is a non-binding poll. You can change your mind. We would just like to get a feeling for what most people would like to do in December so we can plan accordingly. Going to give it a few more minutes. 11 out of 17 people have participated. I guess those of us who are hosts or co-hosts, that is 3 of us, cannot. So now it's 12. Almost there. We're missing 2 more, and then everybody who can vote should have voted. All right. Who's missing? You can all see the screen, right?
I have no opinion.
Okay, I guess I didn't put that option in there. All right, then I think everybody who can has voted on this. And I'm going to end the poll, but it looks from where I'm sitting that 80% of the people present here are in favor of a holiday party at Amy's function room on December 19th. So that is likely what we're going to do. Can you all see it? The results?
Yep, we can see it.
I've never done this before, so and I can't see what you're seeing, which is why I'm asking. Okay, so that's
I'm going to tell a bad joke now. It could be that the second option wasn't chosen because we didn't know what month DECC is.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for participating. So it looks to me, our informal poll of the coordinating committee that we took earlier also favored the holiday party. So Amy, I think you're on the hook for that one. Looks like.
Yep, I'm emailing them right now to reserve it.
Excellent, good work. And of course, we will publish more information about the when and the where and the how to find Amy for those of us that don't know. But that would be it for today. Except for our final slides. Oh yes, the reminder text. I can say that without that. As always, we will send out reminder texts that we've been doing lately. Anybody who would like to help with that is really, really easy. I make up a list of who shall get a text. I write a short script of what to text. Then I send that to you. All you have to do is copy that text over about 10 times in your phone and send it to the numbers that are assigned to you. And that's all there is to it. No thinking required. So if anybody would like to help out with that, you can say it now. You can email me, chris@solidarityLowell.com. You can message me, you can text me. We would welcome any help. The more hands we have, the faster it goes. And as always, you can join us online. You can on our Facebook page where we'll have public events, photos, and more, but not the in-depth discussion and members-only events. Those you can find in the Facebook group. We're on Slack. We have, of course, a website. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're just about any way where you could possibly be electronically. So feel free to check out all of those resources where you can see more about us. and thank you for attending tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for running the meeting. And
Thank you.